this fixed. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 80 of the OG Technically Trek. I am your host, Dave Prime, and over there, Captain Katie is back again. So, how are you doing, my dear?
Do you want the full truth on that?
Oh, you shared a little bit backstage. I mean, there are some things going on. What I, at the last minute, was, well, we'll talk about that in a minute, but we'll be able to try and be as vague as possible without pissing off the lawyers. So, when you get lawyers involved, then you're doing something right and something wrong at the same time. But
Lawyers are like exes. The pains in the ass. But now, I am tired, grumpy, exhausted, not slept, in pain. But I am alive and everything is peachy. Although I cannot wait for Wednesday when I get my new glasses. Yeah, because I was talking a little bit about this backstage, but I've basically been told that for the last 5 years I've had the wrong prescription in my glasses. I've been put down as extremely short-sighted when I am not short-sighted at all, quite the opposite. So I'm waiting on 2 pairs of glasses with 2 different prescriptions in that are very mild. So excuse the bags under my eyes because my glasses hide a lot of the bags under my eyes from my lack of sleep. But other than that, all is okay. Yeah. I'm also looking forward to getting my glasses as well so that I can continue with my writing.
there you go.
So,
That's kind of a big thing to have, to be able to see what you're typing and all that sort of fun stuff.
well, the thing is, I can see absolutely fine. It's the astigmatism that I've got that puts strain on my eyes, which aggravates my migraine. That's why I need glasses. But I don't want to run the risk. Like video calls and things like this aren't too bad because I'm not hyper focused. It's when I have to hyper focus that the astigmatism basically pisses off my migraine. So the reason why I've not been writing for the last couple of weeks is because I don't want to run the risk of my migraine flaring so badly. But no, I'm not doing too bad. I'm actually on chapter 9 of book 2 now. So
Well, then,
yeah,
how many chapters did the first book have?
42.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's kept to size when it goes to print, that'll be like 336 pages. But that's on a slightly larger dimension. If it's put down to the standard, it will be lengthened slightly, because of formatting and stuff. But I'm not too bothered about that. It'll be as long as it is long. I just didn't want it to be too long. That's why I'm now writing a series rather than a standalone. Because it started to become extremely long. So I didn't want that. So I've split it up, and it's going to be at least 3 books in the series, possibly 4.
Oh,
It all depends. But it's going good. I'm actually really enjoying writing. It's quite cathartic. And there's a lot of me in it as well. And I'm drawing a little bit from my love of sci-fi, but also my love of fantasy and magic as well. So it's a little bit of everything for everyone. And I can't wait until the sci-fi comes into it more, because at the minute it is more fantasy. So, because I actually don't like reading sci-fi. I don't like reading like pure sci-fi. It's just something that I've never been into. It's only like watching. So I'm trying to like just drag it in a little bit into my series, and it's going to be more towards like the second half of the series where the sci-fi actually comes into it. So I'm having to get my science on a little bit, which is very difficult.
Yeah, see that you mentioned that I gotta grab this book back here wherever I put it. I thought I got it.
But no, considering I'm a cracky, I had to bring sci-fi into my series.
See, I don't know where I put it. As you can see, I think I'm still. It looks a lot more organized than it was last week, so it's still a work in progress. What's that?
I can see the little green one. Grogu.
Oh, yeah, that's the cat's kids kind of dressed him up, so he's got lipstick and pearls and.
And this is why I love Cassie's kids so much.
But did you see what's over my shoulder over here? Got a little Stitch eating a taco.
Oh, oh. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I love anything cute. I mean, nobody can see it right now, but if anyone was to see the top of my closet, wardrobe, whatever you want to call it, you would know how much I love cutesy wootsy things.
Oh, so I've been wearing this switchback scarf ever since I bought it. It's so comfy. I just like, and I've been so busy today. I almost forgot to put in my teeth. So I just like I had my toothy smile instead of my fake smile. So, but yeah, saying I was going to have a special guest on tonight to discuss a heinous act that was done to someone that I know. It's the son of someone I went to school with, and he's still in a medically induced coma almost a week after the attack, and the family's just beside themselves. I'm enraged as well, and I was talking with him on Facebook Messenger last night till about 1 a.m. And even though he and I grew up in totally different cliques in school, and he said, I always considered you a friend. And I almost cried right there. I'm trying not to cry right now. Just like, oh man. He said we knew each other, but we didn't know each other.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I can tell everyone who's watching that Dave has shared this story with me. I will not disclose anything that I'm not supposed to, but let's just say that this is so bad that when I saw and read what Dave sent me, I was in tears. And things like this don't usually get me in tears. but it does touch me. It does, and it hits me in the feels, but it doesn't usually have that impact on me. But it is so serious what has happened, and it is so horrible.
Yeah,
I will be honest, and I'm not ashamed to say that I sat and cried for this person and their family. And I send so much love and support out to this person's family and the person who is in the medically induced coma. I am sending out so much healing, love, and strength for
and
as good a recovery as possible.
yeah, and I let his dad know that, say, I'm going to do what I can to get the word out globally since you're over in England. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, their lawyer is saying another classmate I went to school with. She was going to come on the show tonight. That I got the okay from the dad to talk about it, and then she just texted me about an hour ago, just saying, lawyers say we got to shut up. We can't talk about it at all. Which that just stinks of a cover up. I know Zach. I was thinking. I was thinking after being on my show, she could go on Zach's show and just get the word out even more about what happened here. I mean, some people might be able to put two and two together, but I'm not going to put into too many more details into that.
The thing is,
But
these things need to be spoken about because this is one of the biggest problems in the world. Now, I can understand if the lawyers were like, "No, stop talking to the media and everything," because of the family. The family don't want it, but the fact that the family do want it and they want to share this story to get it out there to express their pain, but also to raise awareness for these kinds of crimes. You know, things like this happen across in England as well, across the UK, across the world. And it's one of the biggest problems in this world is people don't like to talk about things like this because they don't want to draw attention to it because it could give a bad image to this, it could give a bad image to that. You know, it could have a
that's
negative effect on this person, this organization. It's like, I'm sorry, but screw that.
that
I mean, obviously, I'm very respectful. You know I can't talk about this, but if this was happening to me, I would tell the lawyers to go screw themselves and be like, no, this needs to be spoken about because I don't care about the image of that. What I care about is my family
and
and other people
justice.
this could happen to. Yeah, and other people this can happen to. And if we brush things like this under the rug because of public image or organizational image or whatever, then these things are going to continue to happen because people are going to think it's okay to do these kinds of things I'm just going to shut up right now or I will really rant about this
Yeah,
all night.
you're saying the exact same things I've been thinking, is saying this needs to be known. This needs to be made aware.
Yes.
This school needs to be held responsible for the actions of the students. And it, it I don't know how I would have reacted if I was still, hey Jim, is still an alcoholic. But
Hey, Jim.
yeah,
Well, I am sending as much strength and love as possible to this person and their family. And I hope and pray, and I am sending out so much into the universe, and I am manifesting so deeply that your friend's son makes a full recovery from this in every way possible. And soon.
that's what I say. My path to sobriety, which, by the way,
You are doing so well, Dave. You steal a piece of my heart every single time you tell me how well you're doing. And I love you so much more.
yeah, so some people, I mean, they might have no choice but to go back to the bottle. But I just pray to my higher power that if something tragic like this happens to a loved one, that I don't it I can pretty much, it's going to be a struggle. That's why I got friends out there when I first heard about this, say I immediately reached out to them, say, dude, reach out to me. Talk to me. If you're thinking about drink, call me first. Or just text or something. But
And I've always said the same to you, regardless of the 7-hour time difference.
you're totally awake.
Well, well, yeah.
Well,
But, if you ever need to reach out, even if it's just to drop a message that, before you go to sleep on a night, so that you can wake up to a response, or you want to arrange a time to talk because you need it. I'm always here, I'm awake at all times of day or night. I mean, it's 21 minutes past 1 in the morning right now, and I'm awake. It's so, and I say that to everyone, regardless of what time of day or night it is, regardless of any time difference. If you need someone to talk to, or you want to arrange to talk, I'm here. Because, I rarely sleep, but I can sleep anytime, really. So, the perks of insomnia, I always find a silver lining to everything.
Yeah, see, I got my sponsor. I always call him first. I got a couple of people
Absolutely
from the room. I'll add you to the list. So, but yeah, there's some people in the same as me. It's gonna be a lot easier for them than.
Yeah, well, yeah,
But see, we've been gabbing about this for almost 17 minutes now, so just got to give a quick shout out to my streaming buddy Dubby. Is saying they got a lot of great energy drinks that you get a little 30-day tub of, you just put a scoop in the water, shake it, bam, you got energy to push through a game, to push podcast, and it doesn't give you the caffeine a lot of other drinks have. So, but if you go to WG and use the code TEKTREK, TEKTREK, you get 10% off non-bundled items on your order. Because bundle items, they do have a lot of on there. And I many times, especially now that I'm wearing dentures, say I'm going to have to get Grandpa's denture water before they might sell. So,
do you know what? I've got a feeling that regardless of how icky it sounds, I actually have a feeling that's going to taste really nice, and I don't know why. Now, me personally, as much as I have heard so many good things about Dubby, and they are our sponsor, personally, I cannot drink any form of
they're
energy drinks or anything like that.
They're a partner.
Oh, partner. Sorry, I always, me, I say wrong words. I've called Star Trek characters a mixture of their character name and actor name before, so I'm bound to get somewhat mixed up. I'm a very terrible co-host, people.
Commander Jonathan.
Oh no! I remember one time I said Commander Jonathan Riker. I'm just like,
is that what it just?
Yeah, and also what else did I say?
Patrick Picard.
Yes. And I think I said Captain Stewart at one point as well, and I'm just like, so yeah, I'm bound to get things wrong when it comes to things like that. I do apologise, Dubby. I apologise, but no, I have heard very good things about Dubby. I've actually been doing a little bit of research on them over the last couple of weeks, and they've got some great reviews.
They do. Are you getting any audio issues?
Yeah, you keep cutting out big time, Dave. I'm having to semi-lip read, which I struggle doing.
Microphone.
But no, while Dave is sorting out his technical issues, I'm going to see if I can cause no more technical issues by adding Travis.
Well, no, they're already there. I just need to get the 4-shot going there.
Oh,
How's it going, guys?
oh, that's fine. Yeah.
Hello. How's everyone?
I am surviving.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Real quick. For entertainment, because we all a part of the entertainment industry. Well, we like entertainment news and movie and TV shows and stuff and everything else. Tomorrow, this is not like like I say, happy news and nothing like that. But this is just general news. If you are a fan of movie and stuff, tomorrow will mark I should I don't know how to say it, but James Dean, who passed away in 1955 of a single automobile accident in Southern California. It will tomorrow will mark his anniversary of his death and stuff. If anybody know who James Dean was, he was a young, upcoming, brash, the it
He
actor
was
at the
very
time.
popular.
Yes, and he was friends with Allen Guinness, who went and became Obi-Wan Kenobi in 1977 Star Wars and stuff and everything. And Allen Guinness, basically told him, if you drive that car, because he bought that new, Porsche Spider and stuff and everything else. Allen Guinness put his hands on the Porsche Spider and said, if you drive this car next Thursday, blah blah blah, you are going to end up dead and stuff. And sure enough, Allen Guinness prediction, because he says something about this car has some sort of evilness to it, or it has some bad juju or something. But tomorrow
Yeah.
will mark the anniversary of his death on September the 30th, 1955, and he only was 24 years old. So anybody who knows
Apparently, it's a little bit of a heartthrob as well.
Yeah, James Dean, Rebel Calls, and some other little movies that he was in before his passing and stuff. I just want to give that out there to anybody in the media sphere who are, movie buffs and stuff and everything. I just want to throw that out there. But I heard you guys all backstage and everything talk about what's going on and everything else. Wow, there's a lot going on, I guess, with Dave and Katie about you getting new glasses and stuff. I'm happy for you. I got to get my eyes checked out too. Yes, Jim. He said Rebel Route of Calls. Yep.
Well, I hope that you had better luck going to see the optician than I did, Travis, because that was probably the most weirdest and strangest appointment I've ever had. I think I was in there for about 2 hours. Although on the plus side, I had the OCT test? And basically they do this like special scan of your eyes, and it can detect things like 5 years in advance. And my eyes are a picture of health, so I am glad about that.
Job, I work for a medical manufacturing company that they implanted lenses in your eyes. Doctors can implant lenses in your eyes, and their life expectancy is like 30 or 40 some odd years or something. But they help in with people who have cataracts and glaucoma and stuff like that. And I seen the procedure. It takes only like 30 minutes for the doctors to do that, because they numb your eye, and they put a little slit, and they put the lens in it, and you don't have to have glasses and stuff like that. It's pretty neat.
How to wear glasses. I'm sorry, I would rather wear glasses than have that, because one, I'm immune to local anesthetics, so they wouldn't be able to do it, because apparently they can't do it if you're knocked out. You have to be conscious. So I'd never be able to have a procedure like that done, because I'm immune to local anesthetic.
I'm sorry to hear that. It's we all people are allergic to anesthetic. People are allergic to peanuts. There are all kinds of different types of allergies. People allergies and stuff and everything else. They're like the simplest things that we don't think about that some people can be allergic to is like oh my God, you're allergic to that, and I didn't even realize that. Like,
I'm
people can be
allergic to
allergic to
oranges.
mushrooms. You
Yeah,
know,
I'm allergic to oranges, but I'm okay with other citrus. But anything relating to orange, and if I catch the scent of orange, it can make me really ill. But I'm not actually allergic to local anesthetic. I'm immune.
oh,
And the way that I found out was excruciating.
mm, well,
Yeah, so if anybody
I,
ever says to you, if anyone ever says to me, you do not know what it's like to, like,
I,
you
wo-
don't know how it
I
feels to be
wonder if
stabbed.
Dr. Bashir could give you something for some sort of. I'm just tasting. I was just thinking about what doctor in Star Trek, Dr. Bashir, Dr. McCoy, the doctor from
I,
Voyager,
I would
or
actually, I would actually
Doctor.
trust the doctor from Voyager a lot more. I mean, I know that Julian is a genius, but I would rather I would rather have the doctor from Voyager um deal with me rather than anyone else, because he's just, in my opinion, he's got the best bedside manner because he's sarcastic, he's straight to the point, but he's gentle with it as well. And he's yeah, he's just lovely, and I would trust my health with him.
Well, we are going to talk about him tonight on this particular episode of
Mm.
was it the Bride of Chaotica and stuff. We're going to discuss.
Yes,
He had a part in this particular episode, and this episode is going to be pretty. I can say it was
I
interesting. When I
love
went
this
back to watch it,
episode.
I was like, I kind of forgot about it, but then I realized, oh, okay, I had to do some you know, revisiting and stuff and everything like that. Okay, this is how this. I forgot all about it because it's been many, many years since I seen this particular video or
You see, I
episode.
actually watched the episode right before the show tonight, and I'd actually forgotten how good it is. I've always loved this episode because it mixes really old school sci-fi with the more modern sci-fi, even though Voyager's like years old now, but
Hmm.
it incorporates like full on like retro classic, black and white,
No,
stupid
what Tom,
sci-fi,
what
what
Tom
I call
said,
it.
it was what Tom said. He said something on the line that he was, he was doing research on how, generations before, century before, how they view what the future is going to be like. And you
Yeah,
look back at that, you look back at, and now you look back at what Hollywood was putting out, like in the 1920s, 1930s, and 40s, and 50s and stuff, and you start looking like what did they think what the future will be like, and you start looking at like, wow, their impression of you know how things were, how things, going to be. Heck, there was a cartoon show here in the US back in I believe it was the 70s or something. I think it was 70s or 60s, but it was called the Jetsons. And it was just so funny. People are like uh
yeah,
back
we
in
had it here as well.
people thought, we're gonna have flying cars in the future, like in the 1990s or something like that, flying cars and stuff. But but the episode about Tom when he said about he was just doing some research or whatever he was about, like, how people thought the future was going to be. Like, you start looking at us in the real world, stuff like that. Where me and Dave, we grew up like in the 80s and stuff. And, the technology at that time that it was simpler, it was simplified and simpler versus now where this, what we, uh, these kind of technology, this stuff, phones and stuff like that, that we couldn't even dream in our lifetime of stuff like what we're doing now.
One thing that I do want to interject here, as a woman, I'm deeply offended by a lot of representations of women in sci-fi back in the days of black and white, because I'm sorry, I don't even scream like that when I see a spider, and everyone knows how bad my arachnophobia is. I will let out a yell, and I'll be like, "Ooh," and I'll like get my like ninja on kind of thing. But
Hostis Goodhart.
yeah, do you know that is the only thing about this episode that I cannot stand, and that is the woman screaming, the damsel in distress, and I'm just like, hold on a minute. All right, fair enough. The Arachnia, very strong woman. Yeah. Camp level 11. I'm sorry, Dave, but that's too low a number.
His audio's gone. Dave?
You're muted, Dave.
Oh, my Lanta. Yeah.
But no, that is just so wrong. And not being funny about that. I mean, I've seen like the like original like black and white like King Kong movies, and I'm just like, if I saw a giant gorilla like that, I'd be like, oh, want to hug? I would be screaming. I would be like letting out a blood curdling scream. The only time I've ever screamed like that is when I found out I was immune to local anaesthetic. Because I had a scalpel slicing through my stomach at the time. But that's the only time I've ever let out a scream like that, as far as I'm aware. And I'm just like, why were women portrayed as so, and this is, this is something that I have disagreed with throughout, like, history. Why have women always been portrayed in a general sense of the word? Yeah, we've got, like, the strong women like Arachnia in this episode, but why have they always been portrayed as damsels in distress, weaklings, and always needing a man to save them? And I'm just like,
and they're really, really, really blonde too.
Yeah, and that intelligence level is
that was Hollywood back then.
And I'm just like, hold on a minute. I mean, even back then in Hollywood, Marilyn Monroe, perfect example. Fair enough. One of my favorite movies that she was in was Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, and in that she does play the quintessential ditzy blonde. But she also shows in that movie the intelligence of her character, the strength of her character, and then her best friend who's just like, screw being a damsel, and screw hiding my intelligence and my strength. But, it just does my head in that it's always the women that need saving. And I love watching things where it's the men that need saving. And it's the women that go in and save the men. But then I love, like, one thing I love about this episode, I hope she did. But one thing I love about this episode is that, like, Janeway herself is such a strong female character. And she's, like, a very strong female lead as well. And she basically goes in to save the day. But she partners up with the Doctor in a way, because it's between the Doctor, really, and Janeway. And even though they've got very different... they've got very different roles. The Doctor plays the diplomat, and she basically plays the badass. And it's, I like that. And I like that she was sent in to save the day. But it really does my head in when you've got these, like, really weak female characters. And I'm sorry, but that robot reminds me of the original Daleks from Doctor Who, and it really does my nut in.
Well, no, the Satan's robot, though, I gotta say, I loved Satan's robot.
Yeah.
Because when he was getting all glitchy and things like that, and when he's just like, invaders, it's like, shut up, invaders.
It was funny.
I looked at this like this. when they did this particular episode in Star Trek or Voyager, they actually nailed it. They nail how to act in that time frame that they was so called in, because Tom was like, he was a period piece about like what they wanted, because I love they the way they had the simpler their style of clothing and stuff, the way they talk,
Yeah.
the
Grandiose.
dialogue, and it was like this robot. You could tell it was somebody in there and stuff like that. That's how they portray like a robot was supposed to look like and stuff.
It was
And
the
they
30s.
really nailed it. They
Oh
really
yeah.
nailed it in the sense of thinking that, oh yeah, you know what? People back then really thought the future was going to be something like that. Yes, Jill.
Yeah. Silly and clumsy. That's
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
And
I'm just
emotional.
really I'm glad that that Jim didn't just put silly and clumsy. Or I'd have thought that would have been a hit at me. But it'd have been very accurate.
Uh,
But yeah, I'm definitely beginning to think that StreamYard is having issues tonight, because you guys say that my audio's cutting out. Just the scroll down at the bottom of my screen was getting glitchy there for a second. So
well,
There's been a lot of technological problems in the last several months. It was kind of foretold. I'm not going into it, but Age of Aquarius and all that crap. But yeah, there's been a lot of technological glitches. I randomly lost my entire gallery on my phone. I lost all my photos on my phone, and just randomly from nowhere. And then I had to get a new phone for other reasons. I can only charge my new phone with one charger. So, just technology is just.
yeah, now that you mention it, my phone's it's a couple of years old, so I'm thinking that might have something to do with it. But it's been having difficulties getting and maintaining a charge. That it's never had issues before, and all of a sudden
Well,
it's having an issue.
Let me ask this question to
mine
both of you
wasn't
guys.
struggling
Let me ask this question.
maintaining a charge. It just, the charging port's gone.
Hmm.
Have you guys run a level 2 diagnostics on your phone?
Not yet.
I've run every diagnostic on all my phones. On my new phone, get this, everything is running absolutely fine on it, but I can only use the charging cable it came with to charge it. And I cannot send, I can receive them, but I cannot send a standard SMS text message. But that was happening before I got this new phone. And it only started happening when I had to put my SIM card into my tablet so that I could still get in touch with people. It just, this is what I mean. Technology has been going all tits up recently. And, it kind of coincides with this episode of Voyager, really, because technology was going all tits up. They
hit a subspace barge. And so, they was, stuck in the pocket, a layer of a subspace that they couldn't get out of. And I like the idea of how Janeway brought up her time on the Abatani. And it was like, oh, okay, basically shut down the warp core and just use minimum, impulse engines and kind of like, just
Nudge your
get your
way
way
out.
out of it.
Yeah,
that
I like
was
it
cool.
when they bring up like their past experiences that have nothing to do with Voyager, and like all the series that they're in, like from their past, like pre-series. And it kind of helped for a little while, and then no, personally, I think that they were going too fast, even though they were only going like several meters per second or whatever. But I think if they'd have slowed down a little bit, it might have worked. But there again, it might have not have worked.
Well, there was a subspace distortion on the holodeck, basically, basically photonic distortions. That photonic light
it was the
forms
distortion that was anchoring them there.
Huh?
I think it wasn't just the pocket of subspace that they were in, like this sandbank, so to speak, but I think it was the actual portal type glowy things in the air in the holodeck that were anchoring them there.
Yeah.
And I mean that, unless I read into this episode wrong, because sometimes I do in that sense. But I found it so funny when in this episode when Tom was having to do a rundown, like speaking of technology, it was having to basically translate what everything meant, like lightning shield and death ray and all this, and
Because back then, people, especially in Hollywood, they didn't have the I should say they didn't have the vocabulary that we use now. It's like lightning shield. We call them, force fields, deflector shields, and stuff like that. And everything else. Death ray. We would call them directed energy weapons and stuff and everything. I mean, heck, when this story about Nikola Tesla, I don't know, everybody probably heard this about Nikola Tesla. Was rumored to invented a death ray that was confiscated. Most likely the engineering principle and stuff like that was confiscated by the United States government and stuff. That he used the word death ray, and it's something they didn't have the kind of vocabulary that we use and stuff and everything.
But also something like death ray, it was also a statement as well. It was a statement to emphasize the power of the weapon. And that toned down a lot as sci-fi progressed. And because like obviously we've got like phasers and photon torpedoes, quantum torpedoes, and and then you've got your hand phasers, your phase rifles, and all that jazz. Yeah, disruptors, and and then like force field deflectors and all that jazz. But the type of speech they used back then was much more theatric and almost reminiscent to Shakespearean, with the words that they'd use, like fiendish and malevolence and
my liege.
Yeah, my liege and sire. I mean, don't get me wrong, sire is still used to some degree, but like my liege, that is not used now. And it really isn't. But just the way they spoke in those days, and I mean, I know that they over-exaggerated a lot, and it's portrayed in this episode, but I would still rather watch that than TOS. Because the stuff like that, there was reasons why they did that, and I understand those reasons. And minus the woman screaming, I can deal with it quite well, but when there's no need for it, they do tamper down on it. Whereas in TOS, they didn't, and that was because of Shatner, unfortunately. The others seem to tone it down a lot more, especially as TOS progressed, and like you got into the movies and things like that. But I just find it so, what's the word? Interesting. The way they portray, especially in sci-fi back in those days as well, the language they used, it wasn't just theatrical, it was very Shakespearean, and there was a lot of
yes, Jim, yes. I do remember that.
Yeah.
Hey, Phil.
Oh,
yeah, Phil's here. Hello. Because we talk about the particular episode and stuff, because they started, that Harry and Thomas, basically they was playing in the holodeck and stuff. They was doing that. Then somehow, when the ship just came out of a, dead stop, everything was functioning and stuff and everything else. They had to beat themselves they did a site-to-site transport, and they beamed themselves, right in the, outside the door of the holodeck, and they started to, go through and stuff, and it was pretty, it was pretty interesting. It was pretty interesting to see how, it came from act one to act two on this particular, in this particular episode and stuff like that. Because when it first came out, you was thinking the Bride of Chaotica, what is this going to be about and stuff. And then it was in black and I like how they had it feel the feel of it, that they put the audience like us in black and white, because they didn't put it in the current time period of color, but they had it in black and white, because at that time black and white was the only thing in movies and TV and stuff. Well, TV was still a thing in the 30s, in the 30s and 40s and stuff and everything, but they really, they really did a good job as emulating that, actors, Hollywood in particular, and back then they had a very limited view of what they thought the future could possibly be, and stuff and everything else. And yeah, all of it was literally, they got, as Tom said, they got everything wrong, and stuff and everything. I mean, because it's just like, wow. I mean, I mean the set designs and stuff. It was just so it was so simple. I mean, let's think about this. The Wizard of Oz.
Oh,
How the set and stuff like that. You start looking at that in about the Wizard of Oz and stuff and everything else. Hollywood had this type of simpler way of thinking. Especially when it comes to science fiction, as Jim pointed out. About like War of the Worlds and stuff and everything else. Science fiction writers as Jules Verne, H.G. Wells, and stuff like that. When Hollywood started adapting, to movies and stuff and everything else, they had this very like different way we see things. Like people look, when we go back and look at movies that was in black and white, people we'd be like, oh man, they're acting kind of like he was pointing about Constance Goodhart. She was screaming and all that and stuff. It was like one of those times where acting wasn't like a craft. It wasn't like an art that people took serious and stuff and everything else. Like you point out, like William Shatner in Star Trek, how he overly expressed himself when he was acting and stuff and everything. You'd be like, yeah, that's just, you could tone it down a little bit, and stuff, because he got that, everybody knows about how he talked and everything else, but that's one of the things he thought he was supposed to do in his acting, when he's acting and stuff and everything. And a lot of people back then, you start looking at that. But it was interesting to see how they adapted Star Trek, this particular episode of Star Trek, to what they thought, what people thought back in the 1930s and 40s of.
oh, I will give the 1930s Hollywood credit for something. And that is a lot of their sci-fi. Yes, it was about like alien invaders and monsters and things like that. But
of the worlds.
But they kind of got some things right, and that's like all the conflict. The depravity of humanity. That they got all that so right, but they did it in such a tongue-in-cheek way, because back then it was, even though there was like sci-fi horror movies and and things like that, it was still very tongue-in-cheek, especially with like the speech and the language and things, and you had to speak in a certain way. I mean, especially even though it was like kind of the same with like American movies, it was more so with British movies back then, and you had to speak in a certain way. You had to have a certain level of like elocution lessons, and if you didn't get your pronunciation just right, or you were unable to have that level of poshness, so to speak, you wasn't allowed on screen.
You know,
And
the two guys that really stood out to me, especially in this, was Martin Renier, who played Chaotica, and Nicholas Roth
Worthy,
Wraith Worthy.
yeah,
Yeah, the way they portray, you know, the characters that they did in this and stuff, it was like, you know, they really understood what actors in the 30s and 40s, you know, did, because the way they,
Yeah.
like you said, the dialogue they speak, the how they spoke and everything else, the more Shakespearean, or like, you know, it was a almost like a Broadway stage, you know, theatrics, you know, type of acting.
yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
they definitely, like I said, camp level 11, because I mean, it's even though that they thought it was serious and they were doing the right thing, you look back on it, it's like, oh my god, what were they thinking?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
same
yeah,
can
yeah.
be the same can be said for a lot of the TOS episodes, namely because of Shatner's theatrics in acting, kind of put it up there. I mean, of course, like all the other ones, Next Gen, DS9, Voyager. I mean, they've had those episodes too. But looking
I
back,
agree with this. I agree with what Phil said, because obviously TV acting was very new in like the 20s and the 30s. So the majority of them would have been stage actors. So yeah, that's where like the more Shakespearean language came in. And I think that's why they kept like a level of exaggeration, because on stage a lot of the time you've got to do that to make up for like lack of effects and things like that.
Talk about this, guys. Let's talk about this. So let's talk about when Tom was briefing uh Captain Janeway on, you know, her role as was the queen of the queen was that Queen
Queen
Arachnia.
Arachnia.
And you know, when we saw her enter the holodeck and stuff and everything else, but he was briefing her, the long briefing that he gave to her when they were walking the corridors of the ship. It was pretty interesting because she was like, she gave a look at like, you know, you have to, because we were just talking about the speaking and stuff. She was like, say what? Not force field, deflect, you know, whatever stuff,
Lightning
and death
shield.
ray and stuff like that. She was looking at him like, what are you talking about? So I had to, he's like, you got to be, you know, you got to be some sort of homage, you know, like I say, like my liege or your majesty or just whatever. And it's just one of those things where, you know, when she walked on to the set basically, and she was wearing one thing that cracked me up. She looked at Tom. She said, "I'm a size 4."
Yeah,
Ah,
but even before that, though, when they were talking to the crew, and like when Tom was kind of like selling up the Arachnia role, and saying Janeway was just smiling, looked right at Seven, thinking that Seven was going to go in and do it.
Yeah.
yes.
But then like Tom's looking at her, and she's like, oh hell no.
Like no. Seven's good, but Seven could not act the
Yeah,
way, you know,
yeah,
Janeway could pull it off.
she's got the looks, but not the personality.
No,
Yeah,
she was
she'd
not.
have been shot straight away.
The character, not the actress. Jerry Ryden, I love you.
Yeah.
You did
Yes,
a great job
yes. We're
playing
just talking
Seven.
about the
Oh,
character.
absolutely.
And like with
Yeah.
some of the things, like when they were observing the holodeck from Astrometrics and all that, just she was just so confused and befuddled and didn't understand
She
it.
looked annoyed at one point.
Oh,
She muted the
definitely
audio.
annoyed.
But she
She
caught on
muted.
quickly to the language difference, like the names of things. She did catch on quickly to that. So there was that. But yeah, there was only Janeway that could pull that off. But I mean, when she walked on set as Arachnia, I mean, uh, when even though it was not long before that, when she walked on screen, in that outfit. I remember like the first ever time I saw this episode, and the way she walked on, so confident, that look in her eyes, the like indifference, she was so regal, her posture and everything. And I'm just like, oh yeah, she remembered, because every single time that went, every single time, yeah, every single time, you know, I watched that, and she walks into Chaotica's lair. I always remember what Tom said when he shouted after her. And remember, you're the queen.
queen. And just the way he did it, he's just
And
like,
she does.
you're the queen.
Yeah. And you know, I was just like, every single time she walks on for the first time as Arachnia, Queen of the Spider People, I'm just like, oh yeah, she is a queen.
Oh, yeah, and she even at the end of the episode when Chaotica died, she's like, "Remember, say I'm the queen. Remember?"
What you know? What
Exactly.
before when Chakotay was going to shut down the holodeck, she said, "Give me a moment." She took a moment, and because I think in a sense you got to say she was kind of like she was into the role. Because you know when they shot her with today, she said, "Ha," you know, she just like kind of laughed it off and everything because she know safety protocols was in place and she wasn't going to be hurt by their handheld weapons and stuff and everything. But like when Tom and Harry busted in and the robot and everything, she was just taking a moment to just like take it in, and she was just like wondering. She just like, oh no, she just seemed like this kind of seemed like a fun little program that Tom was running and stuff and everything, because she kind of got into the role. Of course, none of us would understand about like role playing, live action role playing and stuff like that, like they would do in
Yeah.
Star Trek and everything, because we only subject to like uh what we see on TV and movies and stuff like that. In Star Trek world, they actually interact with their entertainment and stuff like that. I mean, you could say we interact with our entertainment, but not in a way where it's 3D hologram and everything else. But it's so funny to watch her. She just kind of took it, and then it was like,
Yeah, I think it was
yeah,
a later episode rather than a previous episode. To this, I can't remember what episode it was, but yeah, Seven went into the holodeck, and she just like that robot, rather than like tackling it, she just opened up the compartment and ripped the wires out.
it's funny how Paris and Tuvok, he said, "How do we repair, the damage stuff like that?" Well, he put out one of the transistors and stuff. I was like, "Oh wow, they really did a period piece where they actually did.
Yeah.
They really. It wasn't like something you would see from the you know, time period, like in the late 90s and whatever and stuff and everything else. It was something that you would see like a vacuum tube seal type thing. It was very, very, you know, interesting and stuff and everything."
Yes, she did. Yes, she did.
Yes, Jim. Oh, I'm so glad everybody's talking.
Oh, in this episode as well. In this
Is that a
episode,
Cheeto with a hat on?
Huh?
oh what?
Is that a Cheeto with a Cheeto with a hat on?
Is
Jim?
what Cheeto with a hat on?
Jim's
Yes.
avatar.
It's
Oh,
His,
the profile
his
picture.
picture.
I'm so sorry.
What the?
Amazing.
real quick, everybody, real quick. If you are watching us live right now at this particular time, anybody, you can join people, you can join everybody in chat if you want to, or you can join us, you know, you can get on camera, but if you're camera shy and you don't want to get on camera and stuff, you can do audio. We enjoy everybody's
You can see,
input
like,
and stuff and everything.
they
And
got
hit the like and subscribe buttons and stuff and
well,
everything else, because we are one of the few channels like to offer, especially a Star Trek, to offer live interactions with all of us. Us live. You can come on. You can talk to us, disagree with us and stuff, long as within friendly established parameters and
Oh,
stuff and everything else.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, you kind of stole my thunder there, Travis, because I was going to wait for a second to break in. Just like, yeah, we got 6 slots available for you to pop in with your camera or your microphone. Just say, hey, join us, chat it up. What did you like? What didn't you like about this episode? But
Absolutely.
one
And
of
if
the
there's any
things,
girls out there, because I'm the only girl here, so it'd be good to have a bit of female support.
Oh, we keep it a sausage party here, I mean,
yeah, it is a Cheeto with a hat on. That is awesome,
Cheetah with a
Jim.
hat on. I like that. I like that. Like, the outfit that Janeway wore when she entered the holodeck and stuff. I think it was auctioned off at Christie's auction house when they was doing a lot of stuff back in the after the run of Roddenberry and Rick Berman's Star Trek.
Mm.
I forgot what it went for, but it went for pretty
A
pricey too.
lot.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised. That's a beautiful outfit. It's got it's got quite a gothic twist to it, which I love. But
Why? Thank you.
one thing,
That is, I am pretty. I am pretty.
yes, you are.
you are, Zach, and it's lovely to see your pretty face. Come back.
No,
But
go
no,
on.
one
Kitty.
thing, one of my favorite parts of this episode, and it is probably very insignificant, but Tuvok, he dishes out a rare compliment.
How'd it
It's
go?
rare that Tuvok dishes out compliments.
Yeah.
But when he actually said to Tom that your knowledge of this technology is impressive, he was actually being serious. Even though everything
Yes.
Tuvok says when he compliments and stuff, it can come across as quite sarcastic. But Tuvok doesn't do that. He doesn't dish out compliments willy-nilly. So when he says something like that, and that's why Tom just was like, thanks. Because he knew that, that was a genuine compliment from a freaking Vulcan, and it is very, very rare that Vulcans dish out compliments. And that is probably one of my favorite tiny little bits in this episode.
Oh, go ahead, finish, Katie.
And that is that compliment. But no, go on, Dave.
No, say one of my favorite moments just shows Janeway's coffee addiction in full display. She goes to get some coffee, and Neelix is saying the replicators are on standby, blah blah blah, and she says, "I'm going to tell you this once: coffee, black," and just like she's like, "Let me." Even though she put her hands on his chest, she wanted to give me my coffee. And
was
then when
stuck in that sandbar for like three days, and
Yeah.
the ship was like experiencing malfunctions or things wasn't working and stuff. Neelix even told her about like how many lavatories that was available of
Yeah.
150 people, and they was going to start lines. I'm thinking, you know what? I would like to see those lines of people standing for the lavatory stuff. Everything, just thinking about like, what would that be
Jim.
like on the starship? You
Yeah.
gotta wait to get.
Oh, Jim. That was well after this episode, though.
Yeah, but
Jim.
that her addiction doubles down. Neelix acquiesced. That's a word I don't use very often in my vocabulary. Got her coffee, and then he started talking to her kids like, "Coffee first." Okay, now you go.
She drunk it. She drunk it fast too.
No, she just took a big old sip and then just kind of like let it kind of soak in. It's like, okay, now you can talk. I mean, there's a lot of people in today's society that they cannot properly function without a cup of coffee in the morning.
Right.
See,
That's what I was
like,
going to say.
yeah, this morning I kind of had to because I was up until 1 a.m. last night talking to my friend about his son, and I had to get up and get one of the guys to work early in the morning, and I ended up waking up an hour before my alarm. So I was only going on about 4.5 hours of sleep. So I was like, I need to get a coffee. And I'm probably going to get another one tomorrow because it's going to be another late night.
You see, I'd say that I'm like that, but caffeine. I mean, don't
Phil.
get me wrong, yeah, do you know, a lot of people are like that, Dave, and I would say that I'm like that as well. But for me, it's the coffee itself, not the caffeine, because I can quite easily start my day with a decaf because caffeine doesn't have any effect on me anymore. I put that to the test, and it doesn't affect my insomnia at all. But for me, it's just the taste of the hot coffee, and it has to be hot coffee, just short of giving me third degree burns. It, and it's that, but it caffeine addiction is a really big thing. I mean, Kate Mulgrew plays it so well with Janeway. She really does. I always remember that episode. I can't remember what it is, but the Voyager systems are going haywire. And she says to the replicator, "Coffee black," and it says back to her, "Get it yourself." And the look she gives the replicator was just like, I could put a phaser to your head right now.
I think that was Q2.
It was Q2 because
Yeah,
Q
see,
saw
when Junior reprogrammed the replicator.
Yeah. But just the look on her face when the replicator said, "Get it yourself." I had visions of her pulling out a phaser, and just zapping it, because I think I would have done that. But yeah, she really does play it well. I'm doing the show tonight without coffee.
Well, you got your Pepsi instead, so that is a different form of caffeine. So
yeah.
Do you know what? I would drink the decaf one, but it just doesn't taste the same.
I don't. Do they even sell that here stateside anymore?
Speaking of coffee,
you know
everybody.
something too? Oh, I was gonna say this. Did y'all know on Deep Space Nine they drink a lot of Raptagino?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I would love to try that.
Yeah. Speaking of
Apparently,
Rappuccino,
coffee is a little bit better than human coffee. And I always wondered, because Cisco, Kira made that point one time about Cisco. Don't speak to anybody when he's coming on duty until he gets his Raptagino.
Yeah. But what were you trying to say, Zach?
well, speaking of Rappuccino, everybody, head over, join the community of Technically Check on Rumble. Jump in there, start a community, and just for as little as a cup of Rappuccino coffee. I know, without the replicator, we live in the real world. You can give these guys a rant over there. Give these guys a Rumble rant, and that way they can build this even bigger. Give you more content.
I need to move to Bajor for a couple of weeks. Maybe I can get more shit accomplished with 26 hours instead of 24. But who knows? But Phil's got a background going.
Hey.
Oh, I love your background.
Yeah, thanks. I finally figured out how to do that. So
that is
I've fiddled with the backgrounds, but it just gets like that weird little aura from from the chroma key, I guess you can call it. Doesn't quite match it, but yours seems to be going pretty good.
It's not bad.
What about Piggly Wiggly?
Yeah, there are no glitches in the holodeck.
Yeah, you'd think. I mean,
you think there are.
Yeah,
there aren't.
I wonder what would happen if they did an episode, a holodeck episode where nothing went wrong. Every single holodeck went sideways.
Before we go on there,
nice.
Phil came in late, late and stuff and everything, and we've been yapping on and stuff and everything, and Zach's been in and out. Let's hear what their impression of this particular episode, the Bride of Chaotica, if they, went back and watched it and stuff, or they remember watching this particular episode, because, I would love to hear their intake on the Voyager episode, Bride of Chaotica. Go for it.
So you mean
Go.
if I'm just going to understand it correctly? I mean, if the actors.
I was talking about what did you think about the episode of
Your
yeah.
thoughts,
I
your
actually
insight.
just that's why I was a little bit late. Is I've been trying to watch it all day. It's just been a busy day and a lot of people calling me, so I finally got around to watching it. Again, this is one I'd seen. I think the only time I saw it was when it aired, and so I had pretty much near forgotten it. But no, it was a fun episode. I forgot how much fun they were, and I don't know why I'm getting something crossed. I don't know, but I was kind of remembering some parts of it differently. But no, I kind of love stuff like that because I kind of grew up watching those things on Saturday afternoon television. There was an old TV show that was called Matinee at the Bijou, and it was on every Sunday.
Oh.
And it was back in like the late 70s.
I've heard of it.
But
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it was set up exactly like they used to do back in the 40s, because my mom and dad would talk about how they went to the cinema, and they'd say they would pay like a dime, and they would get like a cartoon, 2 serials, a newsreel, and 2 movies, and you'd be there all afternoon. Like that was Sunday, was you would be there. So they used to run the show like exactly the same way, and I would be coming back week after week Sunday to watch these serials, and I thought they were great fun just in their simplicity. And I'm almost kind of envious, because I thought how fun that must have been to like wear those costumes and just deliver that kind of performance and be on those kinds of sets, and just it must have been just a hoot to do that episode. So it kind of had me smiling through the whole thing, just because I love that sort of thing. I
wonder if they had fun. You know, the Star Trek Voyager cast member, they had fun. You know, doing it. You know, I mean, this is something that I'm not sure. I mean, from asked, but like, you know, when that particular episode came about, and they, you know, was reading for the script and stuff, and they was like looking. I wondered what their impression, and you know, what their thoughts about this particular episode when they was you know, filming this episode, and what they like Kate McGrew thought about, like, you know, I'm gonna play, you know, the Bride of Chaos, or not Bride of Chaos, but the Queen of Arachnet, and how you're supposed to talk, and the dialogue, and you know, just the timepiece and stuff and everything else, and you know, just it's just one of the things where as an actor, you're not playing in a modern role, you're playing in something, you know, decades and decades ago, and how you react to that.
If I could interject
Go ahead.
about this episode, it's been a number of years since I've actually watched Voyager and seen this episode, but if I could compare it to this episode alone to another show, which is a radio show, it's sort of like a serial from back in like the 40s. It's somewhat like a predecessor to Batman. It's called The Shadow. And if you never heard it, you can look up The Shadow on YouTube, and you can find all of the episodes.
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? Yep. Only the Shadow knows. Yeah, of course.
Yep. And that's the concept I get out of this episode, is you get that fun, whimsical idea, but at the same time, it's kind of got that mystery instilled in it, sort of like The Shadow. So it's kind of taking you back into that 40s, that 30s, 40s, 50s type of atmosphere where entertainment was fun and awesome and kind of real.
I mean, everybody know about this Orson Welles' War to War. Was it 1939? War to War. And you know, back then, you know, you sit around the radio, you listen to, you know, these people talk, like, you know, they give you a story, and you envision the story in your head, because they have sound effects and stuff like that and everything else, and you know, you'd be like, what's going on? But War to War was something different too. It made people a little bit nervous and stuff like that, even though it was just they said it. There was a disclosure at the beginning, but people did not pay attention to the disclosure and stuff. But like you were saying, Zach, about how, like, you know, people listen on radio, and then when, you know, television started becoming more prevalent, especially in the home and stuff, 40s and 50s and stuff, because
Mhm.
at that time, not a lot of people could afford, a television and stuff and everything. But you look at that, and it was really, it was fun. It was done, like Phil said, in a fun way.
Mhm.
How they portray things and how we see things, and we look back on, like, what, we don't get a whole lot of that. We do get a lot of, like, what we call podcast stuff and everything else, but we don't get no, like, kind of like acting effects and stuff and everything else, where people sit around making, with like noises and stuff and everything else, and speaking in that
Oh,
radio type thing. Go ahead, Katie. I'm sorry.
we actually, across here in England, we've had a long-running radio series, and it's been going on for, and I'm sure it's
Wow.
still going. It's called The Archers.
Heard of
It's I think, is it on BBC Radio 4? And it's been going on for 20, 30 years or something. I've never personally listened to it because I struggle with just the bog standard listening. That's why I've, like, when I listen to my audiobooks, I've still got to read. But yeah, that's still quite popular, and they have, like, sound effects and things like that going on, and it's still there are, like, some, like, radio series that are still going on, because I was actually quite surprised at how popular radio, oh, pardon me, how popular radio still is. I mean, I haven't listened to the radio for, oh gosh, decades.
Well,
You know,
they've incorporated radio now still into like iTunes and Spotify. There are actually, like, radio settings where you can get just random music, you can
yeah,
get shows, DJs, all of that. So it's I don't think it's completely gone. People still like that form of entertainment. So
Sorry, I was just texting my friend about, he reacted to a message I sent to him earlier today, and it's just like, fuck. I just like,
Yeah, before Dave concludes this and stuff and everything, I'm glad that Phil and Zach came in and they share, their thoughts about this particular episode and stuff. That's you look back, and especially Star Trek Voyager, they did something a little bit different than what Deep Space Nine were doing at the time and stuff. Deep Space Nine had their own thing going, while Voyager was having their own, doing their own thing and stuff. But they was keeping it very entertaining without seeming cheesy. They could have written this episode in such a cheesy way, even though the dialogue we saw when they was, like, on the holodeck and everything else and talking and everything was like, oh man, they got some cornball villains and their bad puns and stuff, and you're looking at this and, oh my goodness, this is, we discussing how they talk at that time. But it actually showed that level of way people thought, or how they act in their background of acting. Like you pointed out, Phil, like they were theatrical actors. They came from like, stage stuff and everything else. They wasn't like, like you said, TV was was something brand new. Was still coming about. It was a brand new thing. There wasn't like TV shows that we see now. There's TV acting, and then there's stage acting, and then there's movie acting.
yeah,
And it's one of those things where it showed that people back then really had, not saying they had a misconstrued idea of what, because nobody know what the future holds. We don't know what our future going to hold in the next 50 years or the next 100 years and stuff and everything. Where technology is going to be, where our society will be, or are we ever going to have actually flying cars? Or in Star Trek, didn't they call them hover cars at one point? They said they had hover cars. I remember they said because Cisco mom, well, the lady who was posing as Cisco mom, basically, so she died in a hover car accident in Australia. That's what I
Oh
remember.
yeah.
It's one of the things. It's like
Yeah, I'm trying to remember his birth mom's name.
Sarah
Cisco. Yep.
Yeah, and it's one of the things where it's like, oh, okay, but I do apologize. Anybody hear anything? I do apologize for the background that everybody can hear and stuff. I'm trying to like talk over others that's in my house and stuff. I do apologize for that.
Well,
But
it's very muted. You can hardly tell. It's just standard background noise.
But anyway,
but yeah,
I'm just glad that you guys was able to come and share your thoughts and stuff and everything. Even Jim in the chat.
Yeah, see, this actually might allow me to get to an earlier meeting, so a meeting I haven't gone to in a while, which I think is going to be a good thing, especially what's been going on right now. So I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up, unless you got any objections. But
no, I have no objections.
Well, at the last minute, I think Katie and I have been discussing what episodes to work on for October, and at the last minute, I mean, this was one of the episodes we discussed. And next week is October, so we're getting to spooky season. So I'm going to talk frame of mind next week. See, that's like one of I was getting confused with that. So, I mean, they did a really good job with the production of this episode. So,
yes.
Yeah, I was wondering where reality was at. So
is that the one where they all wake up and they've all been something's tampered with them in their sleep?
No, that's frick. No, I know
that's a creepy ass episode.
Yeah, but we might be talking about that one too. But yeah, frame of mind, that's one where Riker goes on an away mission undercover and gets stuck in an insane asylum because they said he killed a couple of people, but then he kept on popping back and forth from the Enterprise and back to the planet. He said it really screws with your head.
Yeah,
so that's
very
Phil, what you're talking about is the episode called Clue. It's in season 4, episode 14.
Not Schisms.
Schisms.
Yeah,
Schisms
is what Phil's referring to.
Okay, Schisms.
Yeah, that's another one of my favorite episodes as well. But no, frame of mind, it's a very major like headfuck episode, and it's very psychological, it's very deep, and it's one of the reasons I love it so much. So I'm very much looking forward to next week.
Okay, so yeah, I'm going to.
Speaking of schisms,
what we've can we say what we? So what was that, Zach?
Oh, I said speaking of schisms should be the week of Halloween.
I do put in a vote for Schisms for somewhere building up to Halloween, because that was a creepy ass episode.
Well, that's what we're basically doing throughout October. We're delving into more of the spookier episodes, and this is kind of like this is like this episode today because it's like all weird and things like that, and things go wrong. We've started. This is like a
precursor
meander into it.
Actually,
yeah. So next week there's frame of mind. We do have Schisms lined up.
We'll probably do Schism on the 27th, so that's the Monday before Halloween.
Yeah.
Which one was it? Which one? What was it? Which one was it called? Where it's basically a invasion of the body snatchers.
I thought of that too. Is that the one at the end, the gross ending? You know what I'm talking about? I don't want to.
Yeah.
Invasion of the body.
It's been a minute, but I remember.
From the first season of Next Gen.
Conspiracy?
Yeah,
Conspiracy,
I believe it is.
Okay,
yeah, it's in the first season.
The ending will blow your mind.
Phil.
Gotta fill that one in.
You had to go there, didn't you?
Yeah. Somebody had to.
Well,
but then of course another creepy Voyager episode is going to be the Thaw.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree. I commend
But
you on
yeah,
that
maybe we'll
Hmm.
do a
And there's
double
five-
dip for next year.
one. And there's 5 weeks in October, so I mean,
Well,
there's got to be
5 weeks. Is only
there's
4 Mondays though.
4
so-
Mondays. Never mind then. I was gonna say if it was 5 Mondays. Never mind. Shoot. I was gonna say there's numbers. There's a number of
Oh,
original series monster of the weeks that we could use.
Yeah,
I
you'll
just remembered-
you'll create a
There's
monster out
two.
of Katie if we did that. So
I just remembered
It's Halloween.
I'm technically scheduled to work all on Mondays through October. What I might try and do is, if you guys start at 8, I do get if it's a long shift, I do get a half-hour lunch. It'll be short, but I'll try and pop in on my lunch break.
Yes.
Pop in. I'll run up to the lunchroom. I'll be in my Y uniform, but I'll come up and I'll try and come in for a little bit anyway, so I can at least join in with you guys. And I might try. I'm going to be
dressed
doing,
like a Gorn.
Yeah. I will.
Just like the Gorn.
I'm working on something. That's all I'll tell you. I have something coming. Yes. Yep. I will have something coming pretty soon. But yeah, I'm also going to be doing. I want to do some streams for my own channel to build up to Halloween, and I might. I don't know. We'll do. I'll get some streams going on my. I keep saying this, but I do want to get some streams going on my other channel. So if I don't get to kind of talk about an episode here, I'll do it over on my Life with Phil channel.
That's right.
But
Both
yeah.
Zach and Phil have their own channel. If you don't mind, Dave, they plug their channels in.
yeah. Like I said, if I'm going to go to an 8:00 meeting, I got to start wrapping up now.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Okay. I
There it
want
is.
everybody to go to my Chandler Arts, Phil Chandler Arts channel, but I've also got my other one, Life with Phil. But if you find one, I'll be touting the other on it. So just, yeah.
And of course, Zach is the Legacy Right.
Yeah, you can always go to
First
Legacy
channel,
Right. Go to Legacy Right, everybody. We dive into economics and politics and philosophy, but from the very deep soul of not what you really anticipate. So we try to make sense of everything. But at the same time, you can always jump on the Legacy Right and find Technically Trek. So it's in there. It's in the playlist.
Alrighty, guys.
Awesome. Well,
We're a
thanks,
family.
everybody. So until next week, make good choices. May Spock be with you. We'll see you next
Keep
week.
a long life.
That work? No.